When I saw Chloe Miller again, she had already become a partner at a top-tier law firm. Meanwhile, I was handing her my resume, applying to be an intern under her. "Ethan, how did you end up like this?" She raised her hand and tossed my resume into the trash can. "Perhaps karma caught up with me from playing too many games." I smiled without answering. Later, I discovered a fake marriage agreement in Chloe's car. Only then did I realize I wasn't the only one who couldn't forget the other person. 1. I never imagined reuniting with Chloe would be in such an awkward yet situation. Amidst the awkward silence where everyone exchanged uneasy glances, I could only joke to break the ice. "Ms. Miller, you flatter me. I have neither wealth nor influence. I hardly qualify as a player in this game." She remained silent. Quiet blanketed the conference room until only the sound of wind rustling outside the window could be heard. Just as I thought hope was lost, Chloe twirled her pen absent-mindedly again and again before asking, "How about working as an intern?" Stunned, I stared at her. "Ms. Miller, this doesn't sound like you at all." After all, Chloe had once gathered all the evidence to expose the underwear thief in the girls' dorm, compiled the boy's photo alongside the proof on letterhead, printed over 500 copies, hired janitors, and spent 3 whole days distributing them. Chloe, as if she hadn't heard me, picked up her bag and headed for the door. Him it is. A bachelor's degree doesn't meet the firm's requirements for a full-fledged lawyer. The HR director sitting across from me nodded furiously. Suddenly, Chloe remembered something else, turned back, and pointed at the trash can. "Ethan, please take out the trash." "Thanks." With that, she walked back to her office in her red-bottomed high heels. Looking at the resume in the trash can, I laughed in sheer frustration. Now I finally understand why this law firm required applicants to write about their relationship history. I thought it was to test their character. Never would have guessed. "Mr. Shao, don't take it personally. Ms. Miller was dumped by a jerk, and your resume mentions some rocky relationship history, so she might have some hostility toward you." HR handed me a glass of water, trying to ease the tension. I thanked her and stood up to retrieve my resume from the trash bin. I understood it wasn't hostility toward players she had, but specifically toward me. So, as a completely inexperienced junior lawyer, I was essentially Chloe's errand boy. My desk was right outside her office door, so I was always the first to notice whenever she came or went. On top of that, whenever she needed anything done, I was always her first choice. "Ethan Shaw, my dog is constipated. Take him to the vet." Chloe suddenly emerged from the office and tossed me a set of car keys along with an address. Maintaining my composure, I picked up my coat and prepared to head out. Several colleagues grabbed hold of me, urging me not to go. "Ethan, what did you do to offend Ms. Miller? How can you put up with this?" "Exactly. Last time she made you buy 30 cups of coffee, your hands turned purple from carrying them. And then you got mistaken for a janitor and had to clean the entire 23rd floor." I shook my head, signaling them to hush. "Don't speak nonsense. Ms. Miller is testing me. After all, I am her assistant." Seeing me endure hardships without complaint, they stopped speaking too, only sighing and wishing me good luck. But truth be told, what good or bad luck was there to speak of? I had indeed offended Chloe. And what's more, I had thoroughly offended her way back during our university days. After all, I was the one who dumped her too during freshman orientation. Chloe gained instant fame by catching an underwear thief, which earned her a spot on the university debate team. Wearing a faded dress shirt as first speaker, she eloquently swept countless championship titles. With just one line third speaker for the opposition, "I kinda like you. Would you say you're feeling happy right now?" She rendered me, the team captain, utterly speechless. That was when I first noticed her. I admire how eloquently she speaks, shining brightly in her areas of expertise. She carries herself with confidence, yet there's an underlying insecurity. Her name unexpectedly appeared on the school's financial aid list. By the next day, news that Chloe relied on financial aid had spread throughout the school. Those who disliked her mocked her for it, even twisting her bold debate speeches into rumors that she was simply trying to catch the attention of wealthy students. Verbal abuse at school is no less damaging than physical violence, and malicious gossip can be an abyss for a girl. I saw her hiding alone by a tree behind the sports field, choking back tears as she questioned the person on the other end of the call. "Why won't you pay my tuition anymore? Why are you using my school money to cover my brother's gambling debts?" The response from the other end of the line was inaudible, but perhaps it was a rejection. But I was as if possessed, inexplicably walking over to her side. "Chloe, my mom keeps pushing me to date. Be my girlfriend, and I'll help you with your tuition." The moment I said it, I regretted it. Only someone with 5 years of psychiatric history would spout such nonsense. Chloe's response, of course, was, "Are you out of your mind?" Her reaction was expected. Being with me would only confirm those gossipy rumors, so I sued all the social media accounts that had spread false rumors about her online. Later, I waited for her on her part-time job's commute home with 99 roses. "Chloe, besides having a bit of money, I've got nothing else going for me. Will you give me a chance? That day was the first time I held her hand. For the next 3 years, I took full responsibility for her tuition and living expenses. She also did her best to play the role of a girlfriend. She enthusiastically chatted with my mom over the phone and put on an affectionate act in front of others. But only I knew that she secretly recorded every penny I gave her in her notebook. I know she probably doesn't love me, but I still went and bought a diamond ring. I wanted to see that stone placed on her slender fingers by my hand, not anyone else's. I thought I could keep her for just a little longer. But then my father died. He couldn't bear the blow of his failed investments and jumped from the 23rd floor. My mother was driven to mental breakdown by debt collectors and took her own life with pills. That year I had just gone abroad. The deaths of my parents and the crushing weight of tuition fees left me gasping for air. In the second month of my first year at law school, I developed depression and dropped out. I suffered from insomnia, began self-harming, and had an uncontrollable temper. I lay in the bathtub trying to drown myself, but I'm a coward. So, I cut ties with everyone, including Chloe. It wasn't until 6 months ago, after I recovered from my illness, that I returned to this city. These past few months, I've interviewed at many law firms, but they all rejected me due to my age and educational background. The only law firm, and the interviewer turned out to be her. It was actually her. I parked my car in front of Chloe's house and couldn't help but laugh. But soon, I wasn't laughing anymore, because the one who opened the door for me was a man. And not just any man, the one I disliked the most. Well, Ethan, long time no see. Ryan Carter spoke to me with playful amusement. I responded with a faint stating my purpose straightforwardly. I'm taking the dog to the vet. Ethan, wait a moment, let me get ready. With that, he went upstairs. When he came back down, he was holding a pet carrier while speaking softly into his phone. Darling, I told you, there's nothing for me to do at home. I can take our son to the hospital myself. There was no need to trouble Ethan to come over. My heart skipped a beat as I jerked my head up. The diamond ring on Ryan's ring finger seemed to mock me. Look, your woman is gone now, it seemed to say. In university, Chloe was unbelievably beautiful, and I wasn't the only one chasing after her. Ryan was my most formidable rival. I still remember Chloe rejecting him with the words, I don't like guys dumber than me. Talk to me when you're smarter than I am. Who would have thought they'd end up married? A sour ache rose in my chest, like a fishbone stuck in my throat. Ethan, let's go to the hospital together. I nodded. Ryan talked a lot along the way, reminiscing about the past. Ethan, if I'd known you were coming back, I would have saved you some wedding candy. Chloe was practically a goddess back then. Never thought I'd actually succeed. We really got married in the end. As he spoke, he flipped out a wedding photo and brought it close to my face. Without even glancing, I coolly offered my congratulations. Congrats. Ryan cheerfully put his phone away and turned back to continue chatting with me. Ethan, you don't seem too happy. I forced a smile uglier than a grimace. Carsick. Oh. Then I'll stop talking. I was just grateful the steering wheel in my hands wasn't a gun, otherwise, I'd have shot him first without hesitation. By the time we arrived at the animal hospital, it was already 6 o'clock. Chloe stood at the entrance waving at us. To be precise, she was waving at Ryan. Darling, you're so slow. As he spoke, he took the puppy from his embrace. After walking a few steps, he seemed to remember something and turned back to explain to me. Attorney Shao, I was just promoted to director and am treating everyone to a gathering tonight at Midnight Bar. Feel free to join if you're free. Ryan spoke up with a smile. Darling, aren't you going to introduce us? If Ethan and I hadn't already known each other, today would have been a bit awkward. I smiled wordlessly. Chloe looped her arm through Ryan's and beamed sweetly at me. Ryan, my husband. I didn't respond to her words, just glanced at my watch and handed the car keys back to her. Ms. Miller, it's quitting time. I have something to attend to, so I won't be keeping you company. With that, I walked away without looking back. In that instant, I understood what it truly means when they say a real man never looks back at explosions. I admit I was somewhat jealous, but that was definitely not why I made my exit. Because aside from work, I still had some promises to fulfill. In the past few months when I couldn't find a job, apart from Faye at the bar who was kind enough to look after me, I had nowhere else to go. With 2 months left before the agreed-upon 6-month period, I switched from full-time to part-time. So Chloe was completely shocked when she saw me scrubbing toilets at the bar. Ethan Shaw, are you out of your mind? I looked up at her. Ms. Miller, am I not allowed to be here? She angrily yanked me up and pulled me into an empty booth. Ethan Shaw, you must be desperate for money, a top law school student scrubbing toilets here. I shook the hand she was gripping. Ms. Miller, your husband is right outside. This isn't appropriate. Chloe was left speechless by my words and awkwardly released her grip on my hand. I just didn't want to see you in such a wretched state, she said, her tone noticeably softer. But I didn't dare stay any longer. I feared I wouldn't be able to resist embracing her. Yet she's married now, while I have nothing, so I chose to run away again. But she slammed the door shut with a bang, saying, "Ethan Shaw, trying to run away again?" Chloe's red-rimmed eyes stared at me, like a wounded little rabbit. She was still beautiful, even more resilient than in college. "I thought you were dead. Was it fun disappearing into thin air? Was it fun leaving without a word?" I took a few steps back, not daring to lower my head to face her questioning. After what felt like an eternity, under her persistent gaze, I reluctantly spoke. "My dad is dead. There's nothing left between us now." Her voice trembled as she punched me. "You actually thought I was only with you for the money. You're really something, Ethan Shaw." "Chloe, weren't we fake from the very beginning?" Chloe suddenly fell silent. I didn't say anything either, just sat on the sofa and lit a cigarette. Chloe sat right beside me, and only after I finished smoking did she speak up, as if she'd made up her mind. "Ethan Shaw, let me spend money on you this time." I let out a scoffing laugh and stubbed out the cigarette butt. "Ms. Miller, you seem to have forgotten you're married." Before she could finish, the compartment door swung open, overwhelming us with a wave of strong perfume. "Ethan, so this is where you've been hiding." I stood up and wrapped my arm around the woman. "Ms. Miller, this is my girlfriend, Faye Rogers." "Faye, this is my supervisor, Ms. Miller. We were just discussing work matters." Faye extended her hand in greeting. "So this is the junior mentee you've mentioned so often, clearly a career woman. Thank you for giving our Ethan this opportunity." Chloe remained expressionless, offering neither a response nor her hand. She walked straight out of the private room. Faye sat down beside me and deftly lit a cigarette. "Oh, Lawyer Shao, since when did you start smoking?" Chloe hates men who smoke the most. I waved my hand to disperse the drifting smoke. "Thanks, Faye." Faye asked curiously, "Why didn't you try to win her back?" I said lightly, "Forget it." Faye stubbed out the cigarette and kicked me. "Then what were you doing all those things in the past few years? Just to feel good about yourself?" During those years of depression, I held onto that photo with Chloe every day until, consumed by longing, I returned to the city one late night. Like a stalker, I watched her daily routines. She'd learned to drink, getting wasted at a bar called Midnight. When her dorm became inaccessible, I brought her to the university study lounge and kept vigil over her all night. Later on, I worked there to repay my debt. The boss was a woman, and I called her Faye. Faye readily advanced me half a year's salary, which I used to cover my medical treatment and buy medicine. With part of the money, I bought Chloe a graduation gift. Faye was right, from start to finish, all these things were just my own wishful thinking. It's because I want to feel less guilty. Ethan, I know you might be feeling a bit insecure right now, like you're not good enough for her, but have you considered that she doesn't care? I let out a bitter chuckle. "But she's already married." With that, I turned and left the private booth. The bar had a great atmosphere. Everyone was drowning their sorrows in alcohol, trying to forget their troubles. "Ethan, there you are. We've been looking for you." My colleague Little Sam anxiously spoke up as soon as she saw me. "Ms. Miller drank too much and won't let anyone near her. She insists we call you." Following her pointed finger, I saw Chloe standing on the booth seat waving her arms, with a circle of people nervously trying to prevent her from falling. "Got it." I dropped these words and quickly strode over. "Come down, will you?" I reached out my hand to Chloe. She looked at me with puppy dog eyes. "Ethan Shaw, you liar. You promised I could spend your money." I stopped arguing and simply hoisted her onto my shoulder, carrying her out of the bar. Our colleagues stared at us in stunned silence, as if watching some dramatic theater performance. I helped Chloe into her car and fastened her seatbelt, but her restless hands kept groping at me. "Ethan Shaw, you don't understand. You understand nothing. You're so handsome with such a great physique. I'm not with you for your money." Then she suddenly vomited all over me with a dramatic wah sound. Her whole performance made me laugh despite my annoyance. "Chloe, where are the tissues?" All that answered me was the sound of steady breathing. I rummaged helplessly through her glove compartment only to stumble upon a shocking agreement. With trembling hands, I opened it. To avoid issues in workplace relationships and position changes, Party A Chloe Miller and Party B Ryan Carter hereby enter into this marriage contract. The agreement stipulates that Party A and Party B shall become legally married partners without conjugal relations, with Party A paying Party B a monthly remuneration of $10,000 as compensation for services. Neither Party A nor Party B shall interfere with each other's lives. So, she and Ryan were in a sham marriage all along. It was actually a fake marriage, and I even lied to her, saying I already had a girlfriend. That's why she got completely wasted. I gazed at Chloe's sleeping little face, tear stains still clinging to her fluttering lashes, and my heart instantly ached unbearably. "Chloe, I'm sorry." I caressed her face and spoke slowly. She seemed to have heard my apology, as her breathing gradually steadied. I took out my phone and dialed Ryan's number. "Ethan, what's going on calling so late?" "Chloe had too much to drink. Come pick her up." Ryan gasped, then decisively hung up. Within 10 minutes, he was knocking on the car window. "Since you're here, I'll take off first." With that, I placed the car keys on the roof. Ryan stopped me, saying, "Ethan, your clothes." I fell silent for a moment. "Did Chloe throw up on you?" I nodded. He immediately grabbed my hand and kept apologizing. "I'm so sorry, man. My wife caused you trouble." Though I felt irritated hearing him refer to Chloe like that, I held back for the sake of her job. "It's fine. Take good care of her." "Yeah, I'll go back and make her some oxbone soup to sober her up." I stared at him for a long moment. "Make it chicken soup instead, she's allergic to beef." Ryan hesitated for a second before guiltily muttering, "I knew that," then drove off and vanished from sight. The next day at work, everyone glanced at me with a hint of curiosity. Little Sam eagerly leaned in. "Ethan, what's your relationship with Ms. Miller?" I was just about to speak when Chloe issued a command from the office. "Ethan Shaw, come with me to meet a client." I shrugged, picked up my briefcase, and followed her out of the company. We tacitly avoided mentioning what happened yesterday without needing to say anything. Since the client's divorce case involved an unusually large sum of money, nearly the entire afternoon was spent sorting through financial statements. By the time I surfaced from the pile of documents, it was already 10 p.m. "Let's call it a day for now. Thank you for your hard work, Attorney Shao." Chloe neatly filed the last document in her hand, picked up her bag, and prepared to leave. Clutching my stomach, I managed with difficulty, "All right." She noticed my pallid complexion and proactively inquired, "Are you okay?" I nodded weakly, "It's nothing, don't worry about me. You go ahead." I watched as her brows knitted tightly together, yet a faint anticipation stirred within me. A few minutes later, the sound of Chloe's high heels grew fainter as she walked away. Indeed, stomach pain can be truly unbearable, especially when the cramping comes in waves. I squatted on the ground, trying to ease the discomfort. About 10 minutes later, Chloe placed a bowl of porridge in front of me. "Drink it quickly. Don't actually die here." Looking at Chloe who had returned, I couldn't help but force a faint smile. "Ms. Miller, you're still the same as in college, tough on the outside but soft on the inside." Back then, I went through great pains to win her over, but she always kept me at arm's length. We never did the things couples normally do, but of course, I would never force her. That is, until one day when my roommate boasted about how his girlfriend wore the necklace he gave her every single day. I finally realized that between me and Chloe, it had always been just me indulging in wishful thinking. So for the first time, I confronted her. "Chloe, why don't you ever wear what I gave you?" Unsurprisingly, she brushed it off with excuses about things not being suitable. "No time, studies are hectic. Plus I have my part-time job. Wearing it would just be inconvenient." I murmured a soft knowing she was lying. She just didn't want to owe me anything. Yet on my birthday, she willingly wore the necklace and ring I'd given her. Brushing a light kiss against my lips, she whispered, "Happy birthday, Ethan." She held me like a kite string, tugging lightly, and with every pull, I danced helplessly in her wind. Looking back now, perhaps she tried to like me back then. Don't overthink it. I'm just avoiding legal risks. If you die in my office, the compensation would bankrupt me. Chloe interrupts my thoughts, shoving the spoon into my hand. I muster the strength to finish the porridge, and indeed my stomach feels much better. "Attorney Miller, could you please call a car for me?" Chloe grabbed me and my bag, her tone leaving no room for refusal. "Enough talk, I'm taking you home," she said, deftly opening my digital door lock before awkwardly explaining herself. Force of habit. I smiled faintly and placed a pair of pink slippers in front of her. "Change your shoes," I said. She gave a vague but made no move to comply. Suddenly I realized she thought I was giving her phase slippers to wear. So I explained, "No one's ever worn these slippers." Only then did she reluctantly step inside. I poured her a glass of water to ease her awkwardness. "You've been to my place plenty of times before. Why are you suddenly so nervous now?" She answered defiantly, "Who's nervous? I just don't want to have to explain things if your girlfriend comes back." I looked up and met her gaze, swallowing hard. "Chloe, actually I don't have a girlfriend. Faye isn't my girlfriend." Chloe didn't speak. When she lifted her head again, her eyes were brimming with tears. Her voice trembled as she demanded an answer from me. "Why did you leave without saying goodbye?" I lowered my eyes. I couldn't face reality. Chloe set down her water glass and crouched before me. "You're lying. You just don't trust me. You think I'm with you for money. You think I wouldn't choose you steadfastly." Her voice grew smaller, until she was barely whispering through her sobs. "You only believe what you assume," she said. "Why couldn't you just ask me?" She softly explained everything to me. "I did get married, but only because when I was up for a promotion, a senior partner wanted me to be his mistress. He said he'd make me a partner if I agreed. I rejected him outright and severed all ties with him during the entire executive meeting. To make things difficult for me, he conspired with other male executives to establish a rule: unmarried women cannot become partners." A pang of bitterness rose in my heart. I I couldn't fathom how much pressure and darkness she had endured under such workplace oppression. Nor could I imagine how she had managed to overcome all opposition and successfully carve out a path through the storm. In short, she must have had a very hard time. So that's why you had to marry Ryan? She nodded silently. I held her in my arms heartbrokenly, repeating I'm sorry over and over. Suddenly, she pinned me down and kissed my face in a frenzy. Tear stains mingled with her kisses, and the scent of hormones filled the air. I couldn't help but hold her tighter, murmuring her name under my breath. Chloe, let's make up. Before Chloe could answer me, the doorbell rang. Ryan stood at the doorway with his arms crossed. Chloe, we should go home. 7. Chloe had finished freshening up and exited the bathroom looking presentable. I called out to her, Chloe. She turned around and smiled at me. It's fine. Before I could finish speaking, Ryan hurried her into the car. I didn't know what had happened between her and Ryan, but the next day, Ryan took the initiative to meet me. When I arrived, several empty liquor bottles were already lined up in front of him. Ethan, you don't know this, but after you disappeared, Chloe would drown her sorrows in this very bar every time she missed you. I took a sip of my drink and waited for him to continue. The damn reason was that some bartender here looked just like you. Fuck, I never thought you'd come back. Why the hell did you return? I looked straight into his eyes and said deliberately, word by word, give Chloe back to me. Ryan heard these words, grabbed the glass, and smashed it on the floor, the shards exploding near my feet. Do you know Chloe gave up her chance to attend a top law school out of state just to search for you? Do you know after finally getting into grad school, she fucking abandoned her opportunity to study abroad? All fucking because she was terrified that if she left, you'd return and not find her. It was me who stuck by her side while she got into grad school, and it was also me who willingly stayed in this city for her career. And now you're asking me to give her back to you. Who the hell do you think you are? I wasn't angry, just finished a bottle of beer. After a long while, I finally lifted my head and spoke. Just because she likes me, because I stood by her during the toughest 4 years of college. I wasn't joking. Chloe's brother was a gambling addict. Their family had sold off everything. Her parents had somehow heard Chloe was dating a rich kid. He started reaching out to demand money from her. But how could Chloe have any money? She never took a single cent from me. Her parents began threatening her, saying they'd make a scene at her school. I gave her parents 200,000 yuan to help her sever ties with them. Ryan cried. It was the first time I'd seen this man, who had once been my equal, sob so uncontrollably. He held my hand and asked again for confirmation. Ethan, are you really not coming back to her out of guilt? Do you truly love her? I'm afraid you'll abandon her again, leaving her to live in fear every day, hiding her vulnerability beneath a facade of strength. I took the diamond ring from my pocket and placed it on the table. It was the one I bought during her junior year. I was planning to propose, but then my dad died, and I ended up drowning in debt. There was no way I could marry her after that. Honestly, I really appreciate you. Ryan finished his beer and slammed his phone onto the table. The screen shows a 1-hour call duration with Chloe. Chloe, I've made up my mind. Let's go finalize the divorce paperwork tomorrow. With that, he hung up the phone, staggering to his feet as he walked away. I was astonished that he could go to such lengths, and I couldn't help but admire him a little more. So he said, let me see you off. Yet, with his back turned to me, he waved his hand dismissively and vanished into the night. I pulled out my phone and called Fee. Fee, I finally confronted Chloe. The person on the phone was overjoyed. Really? I must find time to explain what happened that day to your younger brother's wife. Tomorrow it is. I booked the restaurant, set the time, and sent the details to Chloe. But little did I know what hidden dangers this meeting had planted for Chloe. Faye had always been frank and outspoken, so she quickly shared the news of my reconciliation with Chloe to those around us. Chloe and I were featured in some gossip websites, and someone managed to find my contact information to leave me a message. Actually, your father's investments didn't have to fail. I stared at the few short words on the message board, feeling my heartbeat wildly accelerate. What do you mean? The other person quickly replied, tomorrow at 5 p.m., meet at the bar. I don't know what this person's intentions are, but my father's death remains an unresolved knot in my heart. 8. Attorney Xiao. A woman waved at me, then took off her sunglasses and handed me a file folder. Take a look yourself. I couldn't help but flip through it. The person in the photos was all too familiar to me, Chloe from our university days. So I set down the photo and spoke coldly. What exactly are you trying to say by showing me this? She chuckled softly. You know she tutored in college, but do you know who she tutored for? I didn't answer her, because I was afraid of hurting Chloe's self-esteem, so I never asked about her part-time job. The daughter of the boss whose company your father failed to invest in. Her voice exploded in my ear like a deep, ominous incantation. Surely you're not unaware of why your father's investment failed. I knew all too well. Due to errors in due diligence, the director of the company my father was investing in was embroiled in an infidelity scandal. The company's stock price plummeted, dragging down my father's business until its funding chain snapped. In the end, my father borrowed desperately from everywhere, but it was beyond saving. Crushed by tens of millions in loans, he jumped off a building. I lifted my head and looked at her coldly. What does this have to do with Chloe? She took another photo from her bag, showing a man and a woman. This is the director and his mistress. This photo was taken by Chloe. If she had told you back then, maybe your father wouldn't have invested, wouldn't have jumped off the building. Or perhaps she was the one who exposed the affair? This woman stared at me like a venomous snake, her gaze fixed on me as if I were prey. My entire body turned cold. What do you want? She handed me the photos with a smile. I just want you to see Chloe's true nature. She's always been a selfish person through and through. Back when you were kind to her, she saw it as nothing but charity, a trampling of her dignity. Now that you've fallen on hard times, she treats you exactly the same. I clenched my water glass tightly, immediately denying it. That's impossible. Chloe isn't that kind of person. What exactly are you plotting by trying to drive a wedge between us? She didn't answer my question. Instead, she put on her sunglasses and patted my shoulder. Oh, then why don't you go ask her yourself? You'll come looking for me later, she said, pressing a business card into my hand. Chloe's arch-nemesis, senior attorney, Monica Vance. I pushed open the door to my home and found Chloe had already prepared a table full of dishes. Seeing me return, she waved her hand at me. I made congee today, have some more, it's good for your stomach. I'll go wash my hands. The atmosphere at the dining table was awkward. She chattered on about work matters, saying she had fought hard to secure her position as a partner. But I wasn't in the mood to listen. Chloe took the initiative to speak. Aren't you happy that we've made up? I hesitated for a moment, then set down my spoon. Do you hate me a lot? Chloe's shocked expression made me feel I had guessed right. What are you talking about? I placed the photo in front of her. You knew Mr. Harrison was cheating. Why didn't you tell me? If you'd told me, my father wouldn't have died. Chloe, do you really enjoy getting revenge on me like this? She opened her mouth to explain, but not a single sound came out. I stood up, grabbed her wrist, and together with the bag on the couch, flung both outside the door. Let her tears flow freely, yet I remained unmoved. You signed a fake marriage contract for your career, just like how you coldly watched my father die back then. Chloe, you're so selfish. Those were my last words before I shut the door. She slapped me hard across the face. I should have realized she felt nothing but disgust for me. 9. She was heaven's favored darling, yet I foolishly tried to keep her tethered by my side. The job she secured for me, the bar flirtations, the congee when my stomach ached, they were all just her reveling in the thrill of control. Just as before, now it's her turn to spend money on me. I dialed Monica's number, but couldn't utter a single word. There was a hint of smugness in Monica's voice. Attorney Shao, was I right or what? Join forces with me. What do you want to do? A ruthless female voice came through the phone. Leave her with nothing. I gulped down a glass of water, my voice hoarse as I spoke. Fine. The next day, I handed my resignation letter to Chloe in front of everyone. Attorney Miller, my apologies. She didn't even glance up as she swiftly signed it. She didn't say anything. Humph, now she won't even talk to me. I stopped making a nuisance of myself and quietly closed her office door. In the bar, I placed the marriage agreement in front of Monica. She reached out to flip through it, but I stopped her with my hand. I'd rather hear why exactly you hate Chloe so much. The warmth in Monica's eyes faded slightly. Let me guess, because she stole your partner position? Exactly. Monica didn't bother hiding her anger. We're both senior lawyers, yet she became a partner overnight through marriage while I'm stuck grinding away in this position. I looked at her puzzled. How'd you know it's a sham marriage? Heh. Before I switched jobs, I planted some listening devices in a few places. I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. This is illegal, don't you know that? She shrugged indifferently. Who could possibly prove it was me? Where's the evidence? I shrugged, flashed her an admiring look, then raised my glass. Cheers to good teamwork. She took a sip of her mojito, picked up the file, and vanished into the crowd. Ethan Shaw, open the goddamn door. I groggily opened the door, only to be knocked to the ground by a punch. Damn it, I'm gonna kill you. Ryan pinned me down beneath him, delivering brutal blows. I had no chance to fight back. By the time he finished beating me, I was already in too much pain to get up. Ryan, are you insane? You're the one who's insane. As she spoke, she handed me her phone. Chloe's name was glaringly featured in the trending headlines. Chloe Miller in sham marriage. Chloe Miller accused of business fraud. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. Stay out of this. Ryan looked at me incredulously. Only Chloe and the three of us knew about the agreement. No one else could have leaked it except you. God damn it. How could you guarantee this? His shouting annoyed me, so I shoved him out the door. Ryan didn't understand a thing. The court of public opinion had already thrust Chloe into the eye of the storm. Her social media was flooded with verbal abuse. Someone like her can be a lawyer? Carelessly taking lives in the morning, bending the law for personal gain in the afternoon. No need for me to go through lawsuits anymore. I might as well just die. Her parents even put on a fake crying act online, claiming they failed to properly raise Chloe. Chloe has always been strong-willed since childhood and loved lying. During university, she often tricked us out of our hard-earned money for food and entertainment. That's why we cut off her allowance and severed ties with her. No need to guess. This has Monica's fingerprints all over it. She truly wants to bring Chloe to ruin. Chloe's company revoked her partner status and took her to court. When I saw these messages, Monica was just inviting me to testify in court. After all, a pillow confidant knows too much. Monica, you really do hit the mark when you finally speak. You flatter me, so it's settled, you'll testify in court. Upon completion, Sterling Pierce Law Firm will pay you triple the standard attorney's fee as compensation. I nodded to indicate my agreement. Chloe, the grand spectacle was about to begin. On the day of the trial, every major media outlet had their cameras set up in anticipation. Chloe stood in the defendant's dock, her face ghostly pale. She looked as fragile as a blade of grass battered by storms, stirring an ache in my heart. Chloe Miller, do you have any objections regarding the relevance, legality, or authenticity of the evidence? Chloe responded calmly, I do not recognize the authenticity of evidence unilaterally produced by the opposing party. Monica motioned for the witness to come forward. I slowly walked out from the back of the courtroom. All eyes were on me. I took a deep breath and declared, I testify that Chloe Miller engaged in a sham marriage. Everyone gasped sharply. The blinding flash of reporters' cameras left me dizzy, while the judge rapped his gavel to call for silence. But that was an emotional sham marriage, not a legal one. She did legally marry Ryan Carter, but whether they were emotionally compatible, I think the answer is clearly no. Otherwise there wouldn't have been that marriage contract. I smiled at Chloe, and she smiled back at me. Monica's confident smile instantly froze on her face. When Ryan came forward as the defense witness, he was holding their marriage certificate in his hand. Your Honor, my wife and I are a legally recognized couple certified by the government. Even though we're divorced now, the law still acknowledges our previous marital status. As he spoke, he produced a recording, and soon the entire courtroom was filled with the sound of Monica's voice. Before I switched jobs, I installed some listening devices in a few places. Who would know it was me who put them there? Where's the evidence? Chloe spoke up coolly at that moment. Monica Vance has violated my privacy rights through illegal actions. I'm filing a lawsuit to take this to court. Monica's face turned a riot of colors, her eyes blazing fire at me. I burst out laughing. Do you really think I'd doubt someone I love over some trivial matters? Chloe stumbled upon the truth while working part-time, but she took those photos to show me. She just didn't know my father had already jumped from the building by then. Besides, as fellow women, you shouldn't blame her. You should blame the workplace that's unfair to women. When the verdict was announced, the reporters below erupted in an uproar. Monica had no defense left. Chloe won the case completely. I'm a complete bastard. This was supposed to be Chloe's trial, yet she somehow managed to turn the tables against all odds. No one saw this twist coming, and so she got cornered at the courthouse entrance, swallowed by a sea of microphones. Ryan wanted to pull Chloe out of the crowd, but I stopped him. This is the real highlight of today. Everything before was just to warm up. Attorney Miller, even if you win this case, it won't change the fact that you became a partner through marriage. Do you have any response to this? Attorney Miller, doesn't your conscience ache? We were all waiting for her answer. Chloe smiled gently and effortlessly, her tone radiating feminine wisdom and intellect. Then may I ask, who decided that women can only become partners by getting married? On what grounds? A simple sentence left the reporter speechless, just as it had done to me back then. I admit I used some methods, and I apologize to Sterling Pierce Law Firm. But what about the unwritten workplace rules, the hostility toward women? Why aren't these being addressed? With that, she pulled out her phone and posted the video of her confrontation with the senior executives on social media. It instantly attracted tremendous attention. Some men exploit their professional advantages to humiliate and violate women, yet the workplace turns a blind eye to these behaviors. Tell me, why should I abide by such unfair rules? Pregnant women get fired, just as women can only get promoted after marriage. So why can't men be treated the same way as women? The reporters were momentarily speechless, trying to change the subject to escape the awkward situation. Even if you think you're doing the right thing, your reputation in the industry is already ruined. Which law firm would want you after leaving Sterling Pierce? I don't need any law firm to want me. I have the skills, the brains, I can work for myself. I'm willing to tear open a crack in this dark place, to let the workplace see even a glimmer of light. Dressed in the simplest white shirt, she stood above the crowd speaking confidently, different from before. She would no longer feel insecure about her beauty. Those mistakes that weren't hers to bear, she would no longer torment herself over. This version of Chloe shines even brighter, making me fight through the crowd just to reach her. This time, she didn't push me away but instead took my hand and ran toward me. Do you trust me not to betray you? She pulled a bank card from her pocket and placed it in my palm. Of course, just like how you never doubted me. I knew this card was her way of saying goodbye to the past. The current her and the current me are both ready to start anew. So I lost that debate competition willingly. If she were to ask me again, third debater from the opposing side, I kind of like you. May I ask if you feel happy right now? I would answer her without hesitation. Happy. Being firmly chosen by someone is truly one of life's greatest blessings. Extra 11 Ryan, I don't understand why my goddess can't forget that bastard. What's so great about him? Just because he's got some dirty money, looks a bit handsome, and ranks first? Setting all that aside, he's just a man without any sense of responsibility. He provoked her first, then actually ran away. That left the goddess staying put in this damn city, going nowhere else. My heart aches for Chloe. She's utterly exhausted. To avoid thinking about relationships, she's drowning herself in academics. Every single day she's buried in research proposals and fieldwork, taking notes, doing internships, even volunteering to pick up trash. I asked if she was broke. She actually said she was afraid Ethan Shaw might become homeless and end up sleeping on the streets. I laughed in exasperation at her. At least she worked hard, went on to graduate school, and became a director. As for me, I was successfully chosen by the goddess to become her nominal husband. You might think I'm a simp, but all I care about is whether she's happy. Isn't it enough for people to have shared a single moment together? But I'm somewhat greedy. I want things to go on like this forever. Spending a lifetime this way would be wonderful too. Yet he returned. I'd never seen Chloe so exhilarated before. For the first time ever, she proactively called me. Her opening words were, "Ryan, guess what? Ethan Shaw is back." I certainly knew. A month ago, I spotted him at a bar. Ethan joined her company and became her assistant. Every day, she enthusiastically discusses with me how to bully Ethan Shaw tomorrow. I asked if she still loved him, but she coldly denied it. I've grown accustomed to her saying one thing while meaning another, just like that year when she came to me wanting a fake marriage. It's okay. I don't think Chloe would give up her career. My desk was right outside her office door, so I was always the first to notice whenever she came or went. I never really understood Chloe, never knew what she wanted. I had a showdown with Ethan Shaw. I gave Chloe back to him. After all, I was always an outsider. What happened later proved once again how ridiculous I was. I asked Chloe how she knew Ethan was acting. She replied with a faint smile, "That year, I sent the photo to Ethan as soon as I got it." Ethan carefully refilled Chloe's glass of water. Call me a bastard, but I'd already blocked him by then. I stared at them in astonishment before realizing this was an elaborate scheme they had carefully orchestrated. It stands as a testament to their unity as a couple. And all of this was done to resolve the consequences brought by the fake contract and to fulfill Chloe's dream. After Ethan received the photographs, his first reaction wasn't suspicion or an argument, but patiently listening to Chloe's explanation. That breakup act was something they had agreed upon after clearing the air, specifically for Monica to see. I was foolish enough to punch Ethan. "Ryan, thanks to you beating me up. Otherwise Monica wouldn't have believed we turned on each other." I forced a bitter smile and took a sip of liquor to ease the awkwardness. Everyone thought I was a clown, yet I understood everything. I merely pretended not to know. After all, being too clear-headed would be rather cruel for me. Later, Chloe started her own law firm. At Chloe's company, women could take paid maternity leave and freely run for partnership without marital constraints. And then, I left this city. But unlike that bastard, I knew how to say goodbye. Consider this house my wedding gift to you. So Chloe, farewell for good. The end.